and our numerous affiliates across the country. Also live on all our social media platforms, on Facebook and on X. Coming up this afternoon, President John Dramani Mahama breaks silence on controversy following the Lincoln University's decision to withdraw an honorary doctorate that was to be awarded him in the United States. Also, government ramps up efforts to bridge the gap into metal production following the ban on export of the commodity by Burkina Faso. Also, one of Ghana's most distinguished traditional leaders and rulers, Agogoman Hene Nana Kwame Ekuoku Sapon, passes on at 87. Plus, police close in on suspects behind the defacing of new Ashanti first murals at the Asokwa Interchange in Kumasi. We have details of these and many more coming up shortly. Please do stick and stay with us. My name is Judith Brown. Welcome once again to the bulletin. We start from here. Now, President John Dramani Mahama says Lincoln University remains deeply respected and valued despite the controversy over the institution's decision to withdraw an honorary doctorate that was to be awarded him. Ghana's embassy in a statement said it received a communication from the university indicating that concerns had been raised by a group regarding President Mahama's perceived position on Ghana's human sexual rights and family values bill, hence the withdrawal of the honorary doctorate. Speaking during an engagement with the Ghanaian community in Philadelphia, President Mahama stressed the ties between Ghana and Lincoln University, referencing its role in shaping Ghana's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
Lincoln University invited us, and I want to say that there's a historic link between Ghana and Pennsylvania. There's a historic link between Ghana and Lincoln University. Whatever disagreements have come up, for me, Lincoln University holds a special place in my heart. Because those are hallowed grounds for Ghana. It is part of our history. We cannot divorce Lincoln University from the history of Ghana. That is where our first president, Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, was nurtured with his intellectual capacity and his Pan-Africanist spirit. And it was from there he took that spark and led the liberation struggle, not only in Ghana, but across the African continent. And so the grounds of Lincoln are hallowed grounds for Ghanaians, and will continue to hold that institution in high esteem.
Meanwhile, the president has rejected claims that the recent security recruitment processes were influenced by favoritism, stating that efforts were made to ensure fairness through digital systems. He noted that while the initiative was well-intentioned, it was met with an overwhelming response from applicants across the country, with about 500,000 vouchers sold, with only 5,000 applicants initially considered. He explained that the introduction of technology was aimed at addressing long-standing concerns about partiality in public sector hiring.
The intent behind that is in good faith, because there have been a lot of complaints that people get recruited on the basis of who they know. And so this was an attempt to use digitalization to be able to sort through the first wave of the applications. And so when you go online and you apply and you fill all the fields with your qualification and everything, the computer doesn't know who you are. And so once you apply, the computer has the algorithms that says that this is what we're looking for. And so age and other dimensions are all fed in. And so you can be disqualified on age because you must put your Ghana card number, and your Ghana card has your age. And so if you're above the age they're looking for, it disqualifies you. If you didn't meet certain criteria, it disqualifies you. So the intent was actually in good faith, but the response was overwhelming. 200 and 80,000 young people applied. And the problem was that they were looking for only 5,000. And unfortunately, everybody who applied paid a certain amount of money, above 200 cedis. And so young students who have finished school looking for a job, they have to go and borrow 200 cedis or take it from their parents to pay to get a chance to be recruited, and a computer just says disqualified. Meanwhile, his 200 cedis is gone. And so we held an emergency meeting, and we decided that we should expand the recruitment. And so instead of the 5,000, we would take 10,000 a year for 4 years, and so 40,000. And what we said is all those who applied, you don't need to reapply. We're going to use the same database to employ, from that database so that you don't have to pay again to go online.
Now, away from that, Nana Kwame Akwaku-Sapon, the paramount chief of the Ashanti Agogo traditional area and one of Ghana's most distinguished traditional rulers, has died. He was 87 years old. Now, the Agogo Manhene died in the late hours of Thursday, March 26, 2026, after a short illness. His death brings to a close a reign of more than 50 years on the Agogo stool, one of the longest in the history of the Ashanti Achim area. Now, born on August 11, 1938, Nana Akwaku-Sapon was installed as a Manhene on December 23, 1975, succeeding his uncle, Nana Kwekujia. Now, he was 37 years old at the time of his installment, having been a practicing lawyer with more than a decade of legal experience. Now, his last public office was as a member of the Council of State during the National Democratic Congress NDC government of President John Evans Atta Mills, and following Mills's death in office under President John Dramani Mahama from 2009 to 2013. Now, under his reign, the Agogo traditional area recorded significant development, including the establishment of the Faculty of Health Sciences of the Presbyterian University at Agogo, the extension of clean water supply across the Asante Achim North area, and the cultivation of 1,000 hectares of teak forests and degraded land. Nana Akwaku-Sapon was actively involved in sports administration and served in various roles, including vice chairman of the Ghana Football Association and chairman of the Accra Giant or Great Olympics FC Management Committee on 3 occasions. He was also a patron of the Ghana Athletics Association and trustee of the Accra Lawn Tennis Club. Now, let's remain in the Ashanti region because the chairman of the Asokwa Municipal Security Council, Amo Kamel, says that the police is closing in on suspects who deface murals at the Asokwa Interchange as part of the ongoing Ashanti Fest celebration. Students from some selected senior high schools have been exhibiting their art skills as part of the 2026 Ashanti Festival being organized by the Ashanti Regional Coordinating Council. Now, some of the murals, however, came under attack with unknown persons. Now to William Evans Inkum for more on this very development. William, to start with, this particular initiative seems to be attracting lots of interest. Tell us more. Hello, Evans, can you hear me?
Hello. Yeah, Judith. Well, the line is a bit strange.
Right.
But I hope you can hear me from your end.
I can hear you loud and clear. I'm asking if you could tell us more about this particular initiative of the murals that is attracting a lot of interest in the Ashanti region.
Well, Judith, I will tell you it's a novelty. Because if I have to travel with you, looking at the faces of this particular place, I'm talking about just beneath the Asokwa Interchange, then I can say that it has a very interesting story. Just after the completion of this particular project, it has gone through some level of phases. Initially, this place used to be a den for criminals. Then it became an abode for mentally derailed.
Right.
Now we are talking about a different story now because it is becoming a commercially viable a place that very soon it will start yielding some level of revenue for the local authorities. Now, what am I talking about here? We are talking about an expression of what Asante region looks like, and it's being expressed through artwork. If you come here, you can see all the Edika symbols. Beyond that, we are talking about leaders who have occupied the highest office as far as the Fourth Republic is concerned, and they all have their pictures here. We are talking about the first president of the Fourth Republic, right, the late Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, whose picture is still ongoing, or if you like, graffiti is still ongoing. Then we are talking about the late Professor John Evans Atamas, whose graffiti is yet to kickstart. We have John Ajekum Kufuor, whose graffiti is ready. Then Nana Dankwa Kufuor, John Dramani Mahama, the current president, together with the overlord of the Ashanti Kingdom, Otunfo Osetutu, whose graffiti are all ready. And of course, we continue to see more graffiti being worked on. So I can tell you that it's just an expression of what Ashanti region looks like, and that is what we are seeing here.
And last week, however, we heard that some people have defaced the murals. What is the latest on that particular development?
Well, we know that in a couple of hours ahead, the police will address the media, letting us know where investigation has gotten to. We early on engaged the municipal chief executive for the Asokwa municipality, who happens to be the chairman of the of MUSEC, Amo Kamel, and he corroborated that the police have gone or has advanced as far as investigation is concerned. So we are likely to hear, hear the faces behind that is facing of the graffiti.
Right, let's take a listen to him.
Say investigation are in place. Yesterday, the MUSEC of Asokwa Municipal met, and then the police have assured us that by the end of today or tomorrow, they will do arrests and make sure that they will update us on the issues, matters arising. And then I've already called regional signals to give us footages of it. So they are working on it. So I hope by the end of today, there will be an official press conference to update the whole Asokwa municipality and the whole Ghana on the current developments. I hope with this, we make sure that those people who defaced those paintings will be brought to book. Because we are beautifying Ashanti Mine. We are helping to bring the good image of Ashanti Mine back. And it will benefit the culture and heritage of Ashanti.
You heard the MC for the Asokwa municipality, Amo Kamel, and earlier we were speaking to William Evans Nkuma, Northern Bureau Chief. We'll get more on that particular development, but let's head now to the OT region, because the police in that region are calling for calm and cooperation as investigations open into the escalating tensions in parts of the Nkwanta South municipality that has left 5 people dead. The latest incident has caused widespread fear as residents desert their homes. Correspondent Faisal Abdul Idrisu is joining us with more details on this devastating development. Faisal, now tell us some unfortunate happenings there. Tell us really what more have you gathered?
Yeah, so these Nkwanta clashes is becoming a bigger nightmare on our hands, a very prolonged ethnic conflict that has lasted for a long time. You'll recall that somewhere in June last year, there was a clash that led to the death of people and disrupted activities there. About 3 days ago, this very incident, this recent one, we are told, followed the discovery of the bodies of 3 persons who had gone to the farm but were later discovered to have been killed and burnt. The victims include 77-year-old Mr. Nana Achinake, and then also 24-year-old Fusheni Achinake. The last person is 17-year-old Nuhu Achinake. So after the discovery of these dead bodies, things escalated, leading to the death of 2 more people. So the total number of persons that have been killed in this latest clash is 5. That is 3 males and 2 females.
Right.
Since yesterday, the police have deployed more personnel. The IGP indicated that earlier, and that several personnel and armored vehicles have been deployed to the area as I speak to you. The tension in Kwanta is quite an unfortunate one because we are learning that at least 5 persons have been killed so far.
Well, Faisal, we know that Nkwanta is a transit point towards the north. Tell us really, what's the current state of affairs for road users, residents and schools in that particular municipality?
Yeah, schools in the municipality have been shut down, and so there is no ongoing academic activity. Travelers, for instance, you go to the Hohwe area, they tell you they are scared, even though oftentimes they don't target travelers. The fact that it is a transit point, people are not really people are really scared. For residents, a lot of them have already deserted their homes because they do not know what to expect next, even though there are several security personnel deployed to the area. The Ghana Police Service is urging residents to remain calm and also cooperate as investigations open. They are urging that they volunteer information towards the arrest of persons who are involved in these very latest clashes.
Right, many thanks for your time. Faisal Abdul-Idrisu is our correspondent in the OT region, bringing us all the details on that particular story. Let's head back to Accra because government is ramping up its efforts to bridge the gap in tomato production following the ban on export of the commodity by its northern neighbors. Burkina authorities have set March 30 as the deadline for all export of tomatoes to cease a move. Ghanaian authorities say they will pick up with their counterparts. With a deficit of more than 300,000 tons, some experts have projected 4 years for the nation to bridge the gap. The gap has forced the presidential initiative in agriculture and agribusiness to hit the ground on finding quick ways to close that particular gap. Well, George Quaining is with the team and he's joining us right now. George, tell us more about the engagement with tomato farmers.
Juliet, thank you so much for the time. And so we're coming to you live from Waja Tuba here in Accra. And so there are more than 300 farmers here who cultivate tomato in this very area. You know, if you actually look at the meals we take, breakfast, lunch and supper, there's some elements of tomato. So tomato is a precious, vegetable. And so if that ban should actually take forth, it is going to have dark consequences on all of us. And so it's a reason the initiative has to come here to actually put in immediate measures to make sure the impact will not really be felt. So the farmers also tabled their concerns to the director of the initiative, that's Dr. Patrick Boamo-Otokono. So they have 500 acres of land here, and part of the lands have been encroached on, which is 61 acres. And they even have these developers have, was determined to that regard. But they want government to intervene and get this land for them. And the salinity levels have also compelled them not to even cultivate part of it at 20 hectares. So salinity levels in late term means that salt content. So because of that salt content, they can't use that part of the land. This is 20 acres out of the 500 acres. So they want government to also help them. They want agrochemicals, and then they also borrow at the bank's high interest rates, and the government to give them some sort of financial support. So if government wants these immediate measures to be adopted, they should also come through for them. So government has planned that the varieties that we use here in Ghana is not resistant, and so we cannot really cultivate this all year round compared to Burkina Faso, which have some certain and peculiar varieties. So the CSR has developed some 2 varieties, which is TRI Kwabna, TRI Kwaipa, and these are high resistant varieties. And government is going to take it upon itself that they will distribute these varieties free of charge, give them fertilizers. And when they are giving these to them, they should not really be transactional with them. Use them. This is what you want. You go to the bank to take money for these. So you are giving this to you. So don't come and say you want money for anything, because we are giving the things that you need. So don't sell them, and make sure you put them to good use. So all these are coming at free, to these farmers.
Right. Let's take a listen to Otokono, who has been speaking on this particular matter.
His Excellency, President John Dramani Mahama, yeah, Papa says, "Semi do Hanoma." Mema Munina, Ayuko, Kasiapa. Esan say, Munti, Enagana, Ewo. Say, man, dra, man, pass, or something, crantency for man. Yako, Echo Dakom. It's no, you ma moya, and then this so. Now, Esan said, and this so, you know, one also, Waman and ni Ako, but you ma home. Na enunti ena no pay wasoma ye se ye no mmra embesia na yendi nkita ho na yendwendwen oman Ghana eho enkanka se eba ye biane edomu a na eme se ye nyina na no ya anti asempa Ghana ye dua tomato na esa se Ghana ye dua ni bia ye di bia no tomato wo munti no anopa kosi anyum na se obedi imprensa ni nyina tomato wo esa sa ni nti no ye di tomato pa na se wo hwa Mahama etwa enwasi a tomato a ye di no mun di tomato sa enti no tomato Ghana aha nyina over 30 million population no Afibia yedi tomato over 1.3 million metric tons. Na 1.3 million metric tons does papa. Na Ghana kakra pen yetimi do. Na uhwa empre bebre no yebedo tomatoes ne so a yedo ne suto bremu. Eti no free May sa ko si be se October ena yedia tomato sa ko si November.
Now let's head to the northern regions because the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa, has appealed to traditional authorities in the northern and savannah regions to support government's efforts in tackling illegal mining, popularly known as galamsey. Well, according to him, government remains committed to supporting the youth through structured and legal mining activities or initiatives, including skills training, provision of equipment, and the creation of designated mining zones under a cooperative framework. The minister has been touring the northern parts of the country. Let's go now to Damongo and engage my colleague Christopher Mwako. Chris, good afternoon. Now, what has the minister been saying about establishing district mining committees to fast track the licensing regime?
Okay, so Judith, what the minister has been saying is that it's about time that the ministry decentralizes the licensing regime to the various district assemblies, take that it will save the miners the stress of traveling all the way to Accra before they are able to acquire licenses. He's also been talking about the fact that these miners must form cooperatives so that the issuance of license will be very easy for them to do, so that they can also go about their responsible mining. He says that government is not against mining, but a government wants them to mine responsibly. And so the reason why they should form cooperatives, and when it comes to the license, then it will be done at the assembly. So the ministry is going to send a bill to Parliament, which will be considered, and when it is passed into law, this will happen. The minister has also been courting the support of the traditional authorities so that they will be able to fight the illegal mining menace. Let's take a listen to what the minister has been telling the chiefs.
But more importantly, to seek his support for the fight against illegal mining and the proposals that President Mahama has done to bring responsible cooperative mining to the young people in this area. And he's clearly in support of it. We are very grateful. We are taking steps to engage our young people to identify mineralized areas for them to mine responsibly in a way that makes sure that we don't destroy our water bodies and our lands. And I am very grateful that Yabon Rua has been very supportive of this initiative. We also discussed the need to protect our forest reserves. And he is also very clear to support us to continue to preserve our forests and make sure we continue to plant trees. It is the reason we live. It is the reason we have air to breathe. so that we can leave these natural resources that God has given us, the water, our forests, the way God left it, so that we as custodians of this land, when we leave, we will leave it for the next generation. And we're very
Chris, you're still with us now. Tell us what really has been the reaction of the chiefs as well.
Yeah, so for the traditional authorities, especially the king of Gonjaland, Yabawura Bikunuso Jewuswale the first, he's been indicating that the Savannah region has some areas that there are natural resources, and so government should try to tap all these natural resources, harness them, so that it will help communal and national development. Let's take a listen to what the chief's representative has been saying.
He did not stand there. He also mentioned that these natural resources that are on his land, he's pleading with you. He himself is not happy maybe destroying the land or the water bodies. But as you rightly mentioned, our youth, our people are here. No, sorry to say, most of them have not gotten employment yet. They are depending on the mining and other activities, falling of trees and other things that we all know it is not fine. But what can we do? He's pleading, if you could come to their aid or to our aid to bring this scheme of scale of small scale mining, even beyond the small scale mining. If you could come with it to support us and our subjects, our youth, I think we would have been pleased with that. Yagbaura is ever ready. All that you have mentioned here, Yagbaura and his kingdom are ever ready to welcome whatever activity you bring that will support the Gonja kingdom and Ghana as well to grow. If you will not take anything at all, I think for now, the Ghana that we are in it today, his own son is the president of Ghana.
Well, you heard the reaction from the chiefs at Yabongra in that area. Christopher Mwako, many thanks for your time. He's been giving us all the details as regards to tackling illegal mining in the northern region. And before we go, financial analyst Joe Jackson says Ghana is increasingly creating the conditions for foreign dominance within its own economy. He says the growing control of foreign interests is not being forced but enabled locally, raising concerns about how the country manages its natural resources. He was speaking at the MG Economic Dialogue Series on Thursday.
Our own underperformance is what has created conditions for foreign dominance. If you don't build a house and somebody builds a house and allows you to come and live in as a tenant, how can you complain? And because we don't build, others build. It's about weak domestic capital. We're supposed to be the #1 producer of gold in Ghana. Gold in Africa. We export 7 to 8 billion. 7 to 8 billion annually. Well, you can see who the major producers are. You can see where they stand. They don't even obey our own local content laws. The measly 10% of local content that is required, they won't even meet up to that standard. Some of these companies even buy water from Côte d'Ivoire. They export 40+% of the earnings. Profits, they go away. There's limited downstream processing. Foreign dominance is not the disease. That's not it. Because you see, nobody imposes foreign dominance. Oh. It is invited by local weakness. We should hold our heads down because nobody is imposing it on us. It is the fact that we are weak. That's why somebody can take over. We become a global leader in extraction, but not into wealth creation.
You heard that Joe Jackson at the MG Economic Dialogue Series on Thursday, ending the midday news right here on 3FM 92.7. Pleasure come to you this afternoon. My name is Judith Brown. Do stay tuned. Business News is up next.
Hello there, good afternoon. Welcome to Business Daily on 3FM 92.7. Coming up, government returns to domestic bond market with first 7-year CD issuance since debt restructuring, targeting confidence rebuild and fiscal financing. Also, 90% of Ghanaian banks set to increase lending as optimism return. We'll bring you details. Plus, financial analyst warns multiple taxation killing local businesses. We'll hear from Managing Director of Tessa Capital, Eugenia Bashe.
The dividends too are taxed. That's double taxation. Capital gains tax, the wave of capital gains tax, suddenly it's been reintroduced.
I am Michael Obodu. Details of these and many other stories coming up shortly. Please stay. Thank you so much for your time. Straight into our top story. Government is set to re-enter the domestic bond market with a 7-year CD-denominated issuance on March 30, 2026, marking its first such move since the 2023 debt restructuring program. An issuance announcement document cited by 3 Business indicates that initial pricing guidelines and the opening of the book building process will take place on the same day. The following 3 Business News Desk report has more.
This will be the first CD bond issuance since 2022, following restrictions imposed under the Domestic Debt Exchange Program in 2023, which halted new bond issuance after the country's debt default. According to the document, government is expected to announce the coupon rate on April 1, with settlement scheduled for April 7, 2026. Investors will be required to bid a minimum of 50,000 cedis, with the offer open to both resident and non-resident participants. Proceeds from the bond are expected to support financing of projects captured in the 2026 budget. 6 institutions, Absa Bank Ghana, Cal Bank PLC, FinCap Securities, GCB Bank PLC, One Africa Securities, and the Stanbic Bank Ghana, have been appointed as bond market specialists for the issuance. Government says the move is aimed at rebuilding a domestic funding program, managing liquidity, refinancing maturing debts, and restoring confidence in the bond market. The Finance Ministry also notes that participation will not be limited to pension funds, insurance firms, and asset managers, signaling a broader investor inclusion strategy.
And that was a 3 Business News Desk report. Away from that, the World Bank has announced an immediate scaling up of efforts for emerging market economies as the escalating conflict in the Middle East triggers severe disruptions to global commodity markets and logistics. In a statement released on Thursday, March 26, 2026, the Bretton Woods Institution revealed that several client countries have already made formal requests for assistance.
The World Bank warned that rising tensions are now directly impacting energy prices, agricultural inputs, and critical supply chains. The financial impact of the crisis has been swift and significant. According to World Bank data, the global economy is grappling with spikes, including prices surged by nearly 40% between February and March. Shipping costs to Asia have risen by almost 2/3, and prices for nitrogen-based fertilizers jumped nearly 50% in March alone. Beyond energy, the World Bank highlighted that disruptions to major shipping routes are driving up freight costs globally. These supply risks are extending into essential agricultural sectors, threatening food security in vulnerable regions that rely on imported fertilizers and grain. The World Bank Group is moving quickly to help client countries navigate this crisis, the statement read, emphasizing that the institution is prepared to provide support to scale to prevent a full-blown economic contagion. The bank is currently maintaining close engagement with the most affected nations to tailor its financial and technical response to the evolving geopolitical situation.
And that was a 3 Business News Desk report. Away from that, a new report by the Chartered Institute of Bankers Ghana shows that nearly 90% of banks expect their lending to increase over the next 3 months, signaling growing optimism in the sector. The findings are likely to be welcomed by the private sector, which has long raised concerns about limited access to credit. The report is based on responses from 67 banking executives, including chief executives, heads of credit and treasury, as well as risk officers. It also shows that 97% of respondents believe the current policy mix, including the monetary policy rate, open market operations, and the cash reserve ratio, supports sustainable economic growth. Around 70% of banks say their lending rates currently range between 16 and 20%, reflecting recent easing in borrowing costs. Meanwhile, about 80% of respondents expect the Ghana cedi to either appreciate or remain stable against the US dollar in the next 3 months. This comes despite recent global economic uncertainties. And that was a 3 Business News Desk report. Now, the Managing Director of Tessa Capital Limited, Eugenia Bashe, has issued a stark warning regarding the impact of Ghana's current tax regime on indigenous firms, labeling the burden of multiple taxation as a primary threat to their survival. Speaking at the Media General Economic Dialogue themed around the ownership and sustainability of the Ghanaian economy, Madame Bashe lamented that the existing tax structure is making local businesses increasingly uncompetitive.
The dividends too are taxed. That's double taxation. Capital gains tax. At a point for a long time, government allowed investment on the capital market. They waived off capital gains tax. Suddenly, it's been reintroduced. Some of the areas that we are looking at investing in, real estate, but because of the structure of pension funds, they have to be organized in a certain way, and the way the law has been couched for you to be able to invest in real estate. How do you do it? Through REITs. If I approach a real estate company and they agree to put their assets into a real estate investment trust, the stamp duty alone they have to pay is a put-off. So some of these things are making it difficult for us to channel the funds into the real sector. It may not be much, but it is the start. Can you imagine what that can do to this economy? It is the start. And once you start putting pension funds in, you'll be surprised. Other people would have the confidence, and then you'll be able to mobilize additional funding to put in.
And you heard the Managing Director of Tessa Capital Limited, Eugenia Bashe. Now, the Minerals Income Investment Fund, MIF, has achieved its highest collection since its inception, recording 5.43 billion cedis in mineral royalties inflows. For 2025, this represents a 10.8% increase over the 4.9 billion cedis collected in 2024. MIF Chief Executive Justina Nelson attributed the record-breaking performance to disciplined enforcement and strategic oversight. Madame Nelson also highlighted that strengthening internal controls and reforms aligned with the Public Financial Management Act have safeguarded the fund against procurement breaches during her first year in office. The fund has entered 2026 with a position of strength, reaffirming MIF's commitments to ensuring Ghana's mineral wealth deliver long-term value for the next generation. That's how we end today's edition of Business Daily. For more stories, please check out our website s3news.com/business. I am Michael Obodu. Thank you for tuning in. As always, please stay safe.